I think that our country has always looked to education as the means to reaching your goals and dreams as an individual, and charter schools are really making sure that that means is available to everybody.
If Larchmont Charter School is successful, I believe we will have developed an essential piece of the reform effort that can be replicated across the country, and will actually be able to show not just that schools work, because I think other people have shown that schools can work, that all children can achieve. We'll show that public school can work.
I always had this notion that it'd be amazing to start a charter school, because it's something that an individual can do to impact the system.
I wake up every day a little bit angry about education in this city. I wake up angry that when I go to South Los Angeles, to a middle school there, and only 1 out of 8 kids are reading on grade level, and then I drive just a few miles away to the west side of town, and the vast majority of kids are reading on grade level, and I look at both of these sets of kids and realize that they are no different in how intelligent they are, how much potential they have, or how much we value them, and I just think it's unfair. It is the absolute greatest civil rights issue of our generation to provide equity to all kids, regardless of race or the neighborhood in which they're raised.
I talk to her a lot about this school, and I tell her that she needs to take advantage of the education she's having here, because where we live at, you just don't get it. The math that she's doing right now is the one that my 9-year-old is doing at the public school. They know almost the same when she's in 2nd grade.
At the public school that she was at, it seemed kind of dreary. They didn't seem like they were going to take her one-on-one and be really concerned about what's happening with Brianna.
The problem with a lot of what's going on with LAUSD is everybody is so worried about those standardized test scores. My friend has a daughter in 1st grade, and she's telling me how the teacher's got a stop clock timing her on how she's reading a paragraph.
We honestly thought that there was no other option other than private schools. And what's incredibly exciting is the idea that there is this public school that is not almost as good as the private schools that we were looking at, but that it is as good or better in a lot of ways.
In 2003, for every 100 kids that walked into Hollywood High School, only 10 of them were going to graduate 4 years later, even able to apply to college.
It's such a travesty that it's where you live determines the quality of education your child gets.
Most of the public schools reflect the de facto segregation that is part of our housing pattern. So many schools are a unirace school, and children don't experience people with very different backgrounds than their own.
I want my kids to go to a school where the student body is reflective of the diversity in this country and in the city of Los Angeles. And that's what Larchmont Charter has achieved.
So, what do you notice about the A in the vinegar?
You think it's getting bigger?
Yeah. Are there more bubbles than yesterday?
The Larchmont Charter Schools are the only multi-school charter in Los Angeles whose mission is to serve a diverse community with a constructivist approach to education. Constructivism is a learning theory that's based on the idea that every brain processes information in its own unique way, and that children put those processes together with their unique life experiences.
One of my favorite examples started out just as a lesson on how we vote and why. But what kids voted to do was to buy a pet, and this launched us into a whole series of other projects. So they had to research the biology of what kinds of animals needed. Then they had to do market research about how could we do a fundraiser, and then they had to do the math of figuring out what they needed for all the materials. And it took them through many subjects, many months of very rich learning that they were really motivated about.
Larchmont Charter School is in the top 6% of all public schools in Los Angeles. When you layer on top of that you can go to a school that is that academically high performing and has a student population that mirrors the diversity of our city, there's nobody doing what Larchmont schools are doing.
Sí, va a ser más fácil por Valerie porque yo ya tengo experiencia en mi vida personal y yo quiero que ella sea mejor.
people that are taking the best out of our culture, the people that are going to our best schools, they're getting the best jobs. They're not taking those standards and those funds and reinvesting it back into our public institutions to give kids of all walks of life opportunity. And so what we're creating is a heavily segregated society based on a very elite and then everybody else.
정말 이렇게 뭐라 그럴까 학부모들 간의 관계도 너무 좋은 것 같고 제가 영어를 못해도 너무 많이 이해해주고 좀 그런 부분 제가 도움을 너무 많이 받는 것 같긴 해요. 정말로.
When we start planning a lesson, we start with the ideal thing that we want to do with the kids. And then we have to scale it back to, well, but the resources would cost this much, or the bus for the field trip would cost this much. And so we end up having to limit it to what's practical and what's realistic.
Charter schools are traditionally underfunded. We don't get as much money per pupil as we need to offer this educational model.
We get $2,000 less for every child than every LAUSD public school. We have to spend $1,000 more for every single child on rent. We have to spend $900 more on each child for the instructional aids and enrichment that we think are really critical. What that leaves us with is very little else to do the other things that we really need to do.
Parents want public school, and it's not just they don't want to spend money, is that they want to go to school with other kids in the neighborhood.
We'll show that public school can work, and that public school can work on the macro level, that there are schools that when given the help to start up and get a facility and get going, can sustain on their own and serve all kids and do it well. And that's amazing.
Larchmont Charter Schools can't happen unless there's a huge involvement from the community. Teachers giving more than they would otherwise, parents giving more than they would otherwise, and really having an ownership in this system.
Thanks everybody for coming today. I don't think most people who are not in the charter world really realize what it takes to bring a charter school up to the kind of quality that we like it to be.
We as parents try and do whatever we can. It's a tight-knit community and everyone comes out and volunteers.
I'm a parent of a student here and I'm washing the windows of the teacher's lounge.
Hi, I'm AJ. I'm a parent at Larchmont Charter and I'm pressure cleaning the swings.
We're parents at Larchmont Charter and we're making our school more beautiful.
Today I'm volunteering and I'm serving the kids lunch. At this school, the kids get to appreciate the whole cycle, from earth, from the farmer, from the kitchen, from the people's mouth. Go to different tables, talk about the food. Maybe there's a special vegetable for the day that we're going to explain to the kids.
The Larchmont schools were very excited last year to gain an affiliation with the Edible Schoolyard.
The Edible Schoolyard represents the ideas of Alice Waters.
Rethinking public education for everybody.
These are going to open up and become little flowers.
We're only one of 5 official Edible Schoolyards in the country and the only one here in LA. When kids learn gardening together, when they learn to cook together, when they learn to eat together, it's a really powerful way for us to reinforce the importance of diversity for our kids.
We plant stuff and then it grows and then we take it off and eat it.
Good teachers, good education, and the surroundings that Larchmont offers is making us rich, regardless of our background.
Larchmont Charter School has had an incredible effect on my kids. They're just happy. They can't stop thinking and talking about the day at school.
She's come from having to have someone to take her hand and show her everything to taking someone else's hand and befriending them. And I know that's because of what she sees at Larchmont Charter.
Sí, yo estoy orgullosa de mi hija, porque lo que yo no he podido lograr, yo sé que ella lo va a lograr. Tengo la esperanza de que ella va a ser una persona muy importante.
I feel like we're a part of a team. We're in this together and we're going to make this work, and it's going to be a great place to be for our kids.